I'm Jason Shepard, and these are the fundamentals. Hey, MzeroA Nation, Jason Shepard here, and today we're going to tie the fundamentals together. You're probably wondering, why, Jason, are you in your kitchen? Well, I just finished filming In-Flight Coffee, a phenomenal show we do on Facebook every Saturday at 1 p.m. I hope you'll join us this week for that as well. It's only on Facebook. On the MzeroA Facebook, you can check that out and learn more. We're tying the fundamentals together today, and I hope that you've had a chance to watch this entire series, from the landings all the way up on through to knowing your airplane and ground reference maneuvers, because everything was so important. There's nothing extra there. Everything was the foundation of what we need. And that's what the fundamentals really are. It's a foundation. Have you built your flight training foundation on sand or on the rock, right? That is the question. Those 4 videos we shared were really 4 pillars that you can put into the rock, right, of your foundation in flight training, because that's what we're really after. I can teach you the coolest flight techniques. I can teach you the G1000. I can do all these things. But if you have a weak foundation, when things hit the fan, when everybody else is hitting the panic button, right? When there's an emergency, you fall back to the root of your training. And if your foundation's in the sand, that emergency may not have the outcome that you were hoping for, right? We must have a foundation in our training. So why did we do what we do? And if you need to go back and catch up on videos, please do that. Why did we start with landings? Well, of course, with landings, everybody wants to improve their landings, but why the landings that we did? Why the glassy water landing? Why some seaplane techniques in there? Well, a glassy water landing, what am I actually simulating in there? In seaplane flying, landing on glassy water is actually one of the most difficult things to do. You would think, oh, it's like a mirror, it's perfect, it's a gorgeous day to fly seaplanes. Seaplane pilots hate those days. Give them a choppy day over a glassy water day, I'm telling you. Because when you come in, it's like a mirror. There is no depth perception. So what we do in Seaplane Fun is we set our pitch, we set our power, and we allow the water to come to us. So on the glassy water landing, where the magic's going to really start, is around 200 feet AGL. Around 200 feet AGL, I want to set up a pitch attitude that allows me to continue to descend, but I don't want to descend really more than 150 feet per minute. I'm going to use power, and I'm going to literally, in seaplane flying, we let the water come to us. We say, I hold my pitch attitude, and I trust that the water is going to come. Because when you come in, it's like a mirror. There is no depth perception. So what we do in Seaplane Fun is we set our pitch, we set our power, and we allow the water to come to us. You would do the same thing when landing at night if, forbid, you ever lost your landing light. Who here, let me know in the chat, by the way, who has ever practiced that, a no landing light at night landing, or had it happen for real? Done both. Thankful I practiced them first. We then dive into some power off 180s and some slow flight down the runway, and all of these things have something interesting in common. From the glassy water landing, it's all about pitch and power settings. Slow flight down the runway, also about pitch, power, and airplane control. And the Power Off 180 was all about no power, just pitch and glide. And why all 3 of those things seem so different, when tied together, they become a powerful flight lesson. The next week we dove into our flight maneuvers. And I had you do a technique, a maneuver series we'll call it, that I've been teaching for well over a decade now. Start me out in slow flight in the clean configuration. So slow flight in the clean configuration, carb comes on, power comes back, pitching for airspeed, powering for altitude is what I'm going to do here. Pitching for airspeed, powering for altitude. I'm starting to give it a little bit of power. I want to be around, I'm a little slower than I'd like to be right now. I want to be more like 63, 64 is where I'd like to be. If I was doing PTS slow flight, I could hang this thing by the stall warning horn. I'm 20 feet low. What should I do? Then, with some turns in there, work me into slow flight in the dirty or landing configuration. And then take it all the way to a power off stall without changing the maneuver. How do we do that? How do we incorporate flaps so I'm already so slow? How am I always, you notice in the video, I'm always on the throttle adjusting. You hear me off on my altitude sometimes, adjusting pitch, adjusting power, the same kind of techniques we're learning from glassy water to even power off 180 to everything, slow flight down the runway that we did. And the slow flight down the runway also translates not only into that transition phase of flight, but transitioned into our slow flight in the air. We then did a fundamental called knowing your airplane. And you would think you would start with that, right? Knowing your airplane, the pitch and power settings and everything else. What does it take, though, for a 500 foot per minute descent? How about a 500 foot per minute descent at 90 knots? Do you know the numbers of your airplane?
90 knot climb. I'm gonna need about full power to do this. You ready? Watch. There's 90 knots. All right, and let's climb, but let's pitch for it. Okay, I'm losing 90 knots. Team, what should I do? I'm losing 90 knots. Where should I put my nose? I need to lower my nose a little bit, right? So let's lower the nose. I'm not worried about altitude, not worried about heading or anything like that. Let's just get to 90 knots and trim for that. Okay, 90 knots, you notice is about where that VY is.
Because when you know those, the first two lessons become so much easier. But you may have fumbled your way through the first two lessons, and through fumbling, through a little bit of failure, learning takes place. So there's no problem if you fumbled through those, right? Because in actuality, it probably might have been better to put know your airplane first. But there's something called mixed practice, which shows mixing up and having a variety of practice strewn throughout. You saw this in the great video we did with Magda on her radio communications, and mixing up some practice. It's the science of learning.
Mistakes are part of the process. Again, I really only gave you two scenarios. I told you he's going to clear you to take off or tell you hold short. He could also clear you to take off.
Cessna 23 Mike Zulu. At your discretion, you can make your right turn out to the west.
Our discretion to the west, 23 Mike Zulu.
Our discretion to the west, 23 Mike Zulu.
What does that mean?
We are ready to make the turn?
Yeah, at our discretion, meaning when we believe it's best, we can make that turn out to the west. Yes. All right, so we are plenty high, life is looking good. Let's make that turn out to the west. We're now gonna pick up VFR flight following.
Okay.
They're not expecting us. VFR flight following is on a workload permitting basis. Basically, we're calling up Jack's approach. We're asking for traffic advisories on our way on out to Cedar Key today. And we're going to continue climbing up. You're going to cold call him first. Jack's approach, okay. Skyhawk 23 Mike Zulu.
So although it may seem out of order, it actually makes the learning more powerful, which then caused us to dive into our ground reference maneuvers. Doing a private pilot ground reference maneuver, like turns around a point, then a commercial pilot ground reference maneuver, like 8s on pylons. Both with the same objective, the same distance around that point, but one relying so heavily on wind drift, and the other using a technique called pivotal altitude. Same goal, but two different ways to get to the same goal. And you see, aviation is so much like that. There can be multiple ways to get to the same goal, making one not more correct or more incorrect than the other. But when you can combine all of these skills together, you've built the fundamentals. And hopefully you've gathered through this, all the fundamentals come down to is pitch and power. And when you understand how pitch and power affected your landings, affected your maneuvers, affected from slow flight all the way to the stall, to the brink of that pitch, to the recovery, to the peak of that pitch, to knowing your airplane at 500 feet per minute, to knowing even through your ground reference maneuvers and diverting your attention inside and outside the airplane, I want you to now, with this knowledge, assuming you've actually done these lessons, by the way, and I don't want you to go do all 4 lessons in one flight. I need those 4 separate flights. You say, Jason, that's expensive. It's fine, but I'm telling you, the science of learning says some space between those. A day, 2 days, 3 days preferably, a week could even work. In between those flights, if you truly do those things, then leave me a comment below. It will be a game changer in your flight training. And you have the fundamentals, which allows us to then go on to next month, because next month is the principles of mastery. We've spent so much time building the fundamentals and building the basics that now for the month of April, it's all about mastery. But let me tell you something. Mastery is a quest, not a score on a test. Mastery is something we will always be pursuing and always working toward. It's in Aviation Mastery, the book, of which I have a great draft here, shipping here soon, aviationmastery.com. If you want to pre-order that copy of that book, it's going to be around 300 pages of just everything I've learned over 10,000 hours and 2 decades now, nearly, of flying. What an amazing ride and blessing it has been to serve such an amazing family, which is you all, the MzeroA Nation. Hey, tonight, if you're watching this the day this comes out, I am live with you all. Head over to MzeroAlive.com. Even if you're watching this later down the road, still check out MzeroAlive.com. I will keep that up to date with whatever live stream we're doing next. Right now, we're on a kick of doing everything via Zoom because I want to see your smiling faces. I'm tired of just being cooped up in the house and doing videos from the kitchen, right? I want to get out there and be live with you all again, but seeing your smiling faces via Zoom will suffice until we can shake hands and just hear your aviation journey. Listen, I mean it when I say you are our family. And I mean it even more when I say that family takes care of family. If there's anything myself or this amazing team here at MzeroA.com can do to better serve you, please don't hesitate to reach out. I cannot wait to read your comments below this video on YouTube, on Facebook, on MzeroA.com. I look forward to seeing so many of you live tonight. Once again, MzeroAlive.com. Have a blessed, fruitful, amazing rest of your day. And most importantly, remember that a good pilot is always learning. See you all tonight.